listening to Reality Rap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into Reality Rap. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Can you believe tomorrow is February 1st? Where the hell did January go? Seriously, January is a busy month for me anyways because we have to do month end, quarter end, and year end at work. So it kind of went by quickly. But yeah, I'm like, wow, tomorrow's February already. Just time goes by so freaking fast. Anyways, Vanderpump Rules is back. The premiere was last night for season 11, and I actually thought it was a very solid episode. Sometimes the first episode back of a season can be a little slow because they're kind of just getting back into the season, but I actually thought this episode was really good. The season started filming in June, so it was about 3 months after the reunion was filmed. I think the reunion was filmed in March. So we were still pretty fresh off of everybody finding out about Tom and Raquel, whatever we're calling her now. I guess it's Rachel. I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'll call her Rachel. As we all know, she did not come back for this season. I kind of am not surprised considering, she was essentially publicly executed online, and she said she wanted to distance herself from everything, but then she went out and started a podcast that came out a couple months ago, and she's breaking down the timeline and everything that happened between her and Tom. So I don't know how much she's actually distancing herself from all of this, if she's still talking about it. As we all know, they are no longer together since at least September, and maybe even earlier than that. We all know that she went to a mental health facility for 3 months. In her podcast, and I only listened to a couple of episodes, and in the podcast, she talked about how everybody was saying that she was at a spa in Arizona, and it actually was really a mental health facility that she was at. It wasn't a spa, and she thinks that there was some girl that was leaving within a week after she had arrived, and that person had told somebody, hey, I was at this facility with Raquel from Vanderpump Rules, and that's how it got out as to where she was, or something along those lines. I don't know. She also said on her podcast that nobody really knows why she left James, and that if she had said what he did to her, that it would ruin him. So my guess is it's some sort of domestic abuse. Who knows if she'll come out later and say that's what it was, but that was kind of what I feel like she might have been alluding to. And I know there are a lot of people online who are saying the same thing, because he did slap Kristen when they were dating. Kristen did confirm this on Instagram. She was talking back and forth with Your Moms Are Watching, and I guess she sent her a DM that said, I've been trying to tell the world for 8 years. I just never felt it was the right time. And at this point, who would care? I guess he did hit her, and he also shoved her into the bushes. All this was cut out back when they were dating. I forgot which season it was on. But anyway, so she did verify that he was violent with her. So my guess is that he did something similar to Raquel, and that's what made her end their engagement. And if this is the case, I really hope that Allie is okay. Because if he did abuse Rachel in any way, and he also did it to Kristen, it's showing a pattern. So hopefully he doesn't do the same thing to Allie. Also, yesterday, a podcast episode was released from the Vial Files, and both of the Toms were on it. Initially, I wasn't going to listen to it. I didn't actually know about it until I saw clips of it on Instagram, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what is this? So I went and found it, and I listened to it myself, and both of the Toms were on it, except for Tom Sandavol was an hour late to this podcast. And so for the first half of it, it was just Schwartz that was talking. And then Tom showed up and they talked about, everything that happened. And essentially he was saying that he and Ariana were in a bad relationship, which I think everybody kind of already knew that they were in a bad relationship. But then he kind of uses that as an excuse for what he did and almost blames Ariana for making him go do it because she talked down to him so much.
To be fucking honest, I love Ariana. I do. I really care about her. But this person fucking throughout our relationship talked to me like I was down here all the fucking time. And it's unfortunate that my way of acting out against that was like me also like just getting belittled all the fucking time. Like, dude, and I hate to say it, but like I acted out because I had such low self-worth. And somebody like Raquel, somebody who's in her 20s, like doing the essentially the fucking whipped cream fucking bikini thing, like to me, like in Varsity Blues, like I couldn't fucking like I was like, wow, I have really, like, oh my god, like I'm attractive to somebody, like I'm serious, like
I get all that. This might be construed as you saying she made me cheat. That's
No,
not
she
that's
didn't.
not what you're.
She
You don't
didn't.
want to
I'm
be
not
that
saying
guy.
that.
You don't want to be.
I'm not
I know
saying
you.
that.
I know per our conversations.
No, not at all.
It sounds a little bit like that right now. Just so you know. Yeah, it does sound like that. I'm just saying. I'm letting you know.
You're talking about somebody who like she wouldn't have sex with me for like fucking a year.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get all that.
Dude,
and I've been in
sucks.
toxic relationships before.
And I like loved Ariana. I really fucking did. And the whole process of breaking up with her, this happened over 4 months. Like, this wasn't like, I don't know, man.
He's so articulate, right? I thought I said the word like a lot. Wow. I mean, he said it, I don't even know how many times there. Anyways, it really does sound like he's blaming her for going and having an affair, or acting out, as he liked to call it. I was like, acting out? No, you went and had an affair. You cheated on her. And he's essentially saying, you don't know what it was like to be berated and belittled and not have sex. Yeah, okay, I get that, Tom, but that doesn't mean you go out and have an affair. You do the grown-up thing and you end the relationship. And then you can go and have sex with whoever you want. There's no way he could ever justify what he did by saying, I was in a bad relationship. No, sorry, it doesn't work that way. And then to say that Raquel was doing the whipped cream thing and she was making him feel attractive, again, taking the blame off of him and putting it onto Raquel for being too sexy, I guess. Apparently, Tom doesn't have a mind of his own and is controlled by all the women in his life. And that is what made him go have the affair. It wasn't him. It was Ariana and Raquel. I mean, wow. Now, he also does say in this podcast interview, I know I screwed up. But then out of the other side of his mouth, he's essentially blaming his bad relationship and the way Ariana talked to him and belittled him, that he had no self-worth, that is what made him do it. Sorry, Tom, it's not an excuse. All right, let's go ahead and get into this recap. So this episode starts out with everybody doing their various things. We see Ariana at home, and what caught my eye, in her house, the giant photo of them is still up on the wall. There is no way that I could walk by that every day. I would walk by that thing and punch him in the face every day. Bam, bam, bam. That would have come down day one. I probably would have thrown it out in the yard, but that's just me. Scheana and her family are in their apartment that they must be renting for filming, since we know that both her and Lala have houses out in Palm Springs. James and Allie are in their new $1.3 million house that James just bought. And they must have just moved in because they were still unpacking and putting furniture and stuff together. We find out that the house is near an airport, so they get a lot of airplane noise. Katie goes over to Ariana's because they're going to go thrifting for their sandwich shop to get cups and plates and stuff like that. We find out that Sandavol is out of town filming for that Special Forces show or whatever he was on. I never watched it. She tells us that they are still living together and that they solely communicate through his assistant. So as of right now, it's working out. It looks like she got to keep the master bedroom, and wow, is she messy. I was like, Ariana, girl, that was a messy ass room. She then tells Katie that Tom wants to buy her out of the house and stay there, and that she wants to sell the house and have them both leave. As we all know, they are still living together. So this was filmed back in June. It is now January, essentially February, and they're still living in the same house. She does say that he made her an offer, but she said that it was a lowball offer. And on that podcast yesterday that came out, he said that he made her a fair offer. And also that Ariana hasn't paid the mortgage in 8 months and hasn't been living there for the last couple of months, but her stuff is still there. I'm not sure why he said it in this manner, like, oh, well, she's not even living there, but her stuff is still here, because we all know that she just debuted on the Broadway show Chicago 2 days ago. So obviously she was in New York practicing for the last couple of months before the show opened. So it's not like she wasn't living there, but she was still in the area, but she's just not staying at the house. She was literally across the United States practicing for this show she was on. I guess she could have said the same thing when Tom was filming for Special Forces. Oh, well, he's not living here anymore. So I don't know. I don't know why he said it that way. I was like, well, that's kind of deceptive, because we all know that she was practicing for this show. It's not like she moved out. My guess is that he is maxed out on his side of the mortgage, because as we all know, he took out money to fund Schwartz and Sandy's. So if he is forced to sell the house, he's not going to get anything from the sale, because all of his side of the equity, he took it out in cash. So he'll be broke and he won't have any cash to buy another house. My guess is that's why he wants to stay in the house. Over at Scheana's, we find out that one of Sandavol's best friends has passed away, and both Brock and Scheana had reached out to him asking if he was okay, and he never replied. On the after show, James said, I also reached out to him and didn't hear back, but I wasn't expecting to. Scheana tells Brock that she also looked on Instagram and saw that all of her accounts that she's associated with were blocked, including Summer Moon's Instagram, which I don't know why people put their babies on Instagram in the first place. There's too many weirdos out there. I'll never understand why somebody would create an Instagram page for a baby. No offense to anybody listening who did. I wouldn't want to open my kid up to weird people on the internet. On the after show, Tom said that he had blocked Scheana because he kept seeing all these posts about her podcast episodes where they were talking about him and how she was interviewing people that were connected to him, and he just got sick of seeing it, and so she blocked him. And then when she reached out to him to make sure he was okay, he was actually insulted that she would say, let me know if you need anything, after talking about him for multiple episodes, which I kind of get. I'm not defending Tom, but I would understand why he would kind of be like, you know what? You literally have been dragging my name, and now you're asking me if I'm okay. We're now over at Lala's apartment. Again, the apartment she must rent for the show because she has a house in Palm Springs. Her mom has moved in with her. She packed up her life from Utah and moved in with Lala so she could help with Ocean. And then I guess her brother felt left behind, so he also relocated and moved to the same complex. We find out that she's still working on her custody agreement with Randall. Lala tells us that she cries all the time and she questions everybody that comes into her life and her friend's life because she doesn't trust anybody anymore. Schwartz and James meet up, and Schwartz tells him that the bar has taken a hit, that people are coming in and harassing the wait staff, which to me is so gross. The staff had absolutely nothing to do with what happened. And for people to go into an establishment and harass the wait staff, again, who had nothing to do with what happened, that's just psycho. And it's really taking it too far. He has a lot of resentment towards Sandavol and says that after what he did to Ariana, he better stay with Raquel forever, which was kind of funny because they're not together anymore. He thanks James for extending some empathy to him because he feels like a pariah to the rest of the group. James tells him, you're really the best version of yourself when you're by yourself and you're not with Sandavol, which I have to agree. My guess is he and Katie would probably still be together if Schwartz wasn't so close with Sandavol. Why he always chose Sandoval's side of things, I'm not really sure, but he did, and unfortunately, I think that was the downfall of his marriage. James tells Schwartz that he's not drinking anymore and that it was 100% his decision this time, and that he's working out a lot and he's meditating, but he is still smoking pot all day, or as he called it California sober. I don't know why people call it that. Why don't you just say it? I don't drink. There are tons of people who only smoke pot and don't drink, but they don't call themselves California sober. Scheana and Ariana meet up for a massage, which when they were sitting there, I was like, oh man, I really need to go have a massage. Ariana tells us that she met Dan, her boyfriend, right after everything blew up. I guess he lives in New York, so they're doing the long distance dating thing. We find out that Scheana was diagnosed with OCD about 6 months prior, and then all this fallout from Scandoval made her anxiety peak. So she ended up going on to Zoloft. Scheana asks how Ariana is with Schwartz, and she says, I still have him blocked. And that after seeing Schwartz say on Watch What Happens Live that if you see Sandavol, to give him a hug because he's in a bad place, that pissed her off. So she unblocked Schwartz and sent him a text message to go choke on Sandoval's dirty ass dick. And then blocked him again. I don't know. I kind of understand why she blocked him because he is so close to Sandavol and this is still very fresh. So she's probably like, I can't really be around you. So I'm just going to distance myself from you. But I also see Schwartz's side because Tom Sandavol is his best friend. They have this business that they just opened and sunk all this money into. And they're trying to get it off the ground. Of course he's going to stick by Tom Sandavol. I mean, he can't really just be like, screw you, I'm out of here. That wouldn't work. Scheana asks Ariana if she's going to go to TomTom to see James's DJ thing, and she says yes. Scheana says, what will you do if Schwartz is there? Which I'm like, well, of course he's going to be there. A, they're filming, and B, he's a part owner of that restaurant. And she says she'll just go into the bathroom and take a shit. So we now see everybody getting ready to go to TomTom. Scheana and Lala are sitting and doing their makeup and doing contouring. And Lala's like, I have to make myself look like I have an Ozempic face because I don't have good bone structure. And then Sheena's like, oh, I know. Everybody keeps asking me if I'm on Ozempic. And I have to tell them, no, it's just called Scandoval. So I guess that made her not want to eat. Ariana's on the phone with Dan. Is it Dan or Daniel? I don't know which is the proper. I know his name is like Daniel, but I think she called him Dan. Anyway, she tells him that she is nervous because she has not been to TomTom since the night she found out about Rachel. That is totally understandable. Returning back to the scene of the crime, I guess we could say. Not only that, also how involved TomTom was in her life with Tom. So I could see why she's nervous going back there. We see everybody arriving to TomTom, including LVP, and we see a flashback of the first time Ariana and Katie walked into TomTom years ago. And they comment on how different everything is now walking in present day. So everybody sits down. Ariana says she is a little shaky being back there. Schwartz comes over and he says hi to Ariana and she just ignores him. And Schwartz tells us in his talking head that Ariana is the patron saint of scorned women. And until the ice melts with her, it is going to be hard for him to get anywhere with the other women. Lisa asks Ariana, are you good? And she says, yeah, I just wasn't expecting all of these feelings to come up. We see clips of her and Tom throughout the whole TomTom experience, them building the place, them opening the place, and I just totally understand why she's feeling all this. It's only a couple months off of their breakup, and TomTom really was such a big part of their lives. I think it was like, over 5 years or something like that. So I understand these emotions that must be coming out of her, but I think it's really good that she did go because it is kind of forcing her to deal with these emotions and kind of letting them bubble up and come out. So I feel like this is good. It's a good process for her in my eyes. Lala then asks Lisa to go and have a talk with her. And so they go and they sit down and she tells Lisa that after Rachel said that she feels like if she doesn't have Tom and she goes against Tom, then she isn't going to have anybody and she's going to be alone. And how she related to this and related to Rachel feeling isolated. She tells us in her talking head that she knows what it's like to have a man in her life paint this beautiful picture and how you're just willing to risk it all and then it all falls apart. Lisa tells her, I was really surprised that Rachel had the balls to go against Tom. And Lala says, yeah, I totally understand. I also know what it's like to want to tell the truth because it's what feels natural. Lisa tells us in her talking head that Lala would have been the last person that she would expect expect to have empathy for Raquel, and maybe if there is forgiveness from Lala, that the others will come around. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I feel that Lala reaching out to Rachel was a little producer driven or possibly Lisa driven, because they were trying to get her to come back to the show. Obviously she didn't, but I wonder if they thought that maybe if somebody from the group reached out to her, she would be more inclined to come back, thinking, okay, there's a little bit of an open door for me to be able to get back into this group, or at least have somebody to film with. I'm not saying that Lala wasn't being genuine with actually saying, I want to reach out to her to let her know I also was a mistress at one point, or was called a mistress at one point, and I don't want her to go through life wearing that badge. So it was probably genuine, but then maybe producers or Lisa kind of pushed her to actually do it. We see Scheana and Katie talking, and Katie tells Scheana, I'm really enjoying us hanging out together, so I really don't want to revisit what went down last summer between the two of us. And basically how Scheana was encouraging Rachel to make out with Katie's ex-husband. She wants to know that she can trust Scheana and not have what she says used against her. I will say that is pretty forgiving of Katie, considering Scheana really was encouraging Rachel to go make out with Schwartz and was really pushing for that to happen. Scheana then makes some comment about being able to bond over having a common enemy, but in this case, they actually have two. We now see Lala go out back, and she records her voice memo to send to Raquel, basically telling her that she would like to have a conversation with her. Again, I think this was a little bit producer driven. They wanted to get that on film. In her talking head, Lala tells us that as somebody who knows what it's like to be called a mistress and all the comments that she received, that she doesn't want Rachel to wear this mistress label for the rest of her life. Now, Lala was on Watch What Happens Live last night, and she did say that she never heard back from Raquel.
Do you think Rachel will respond to Lala's message? Yes or no? Rappaport, do you think she will respond to Lala?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, now I don't know the answer to this, but I am going to say she doesn't respond. Can you tell us?
She does not respond. The universe really protects me at all costs, because cut to, she does Bethany's podcast.
Right.
And I'm like, and I never would have reached out to you had I had a crystal ball.
Okay, there you go.
I thought she was going to go bag groceries at Vaughn's or something and live a normal life.
Okay.
You know?
So there you go. She wasn't reaching out to rekindle her friendship with Rachel. She basically just wanted to say good luck in life. Also, can we not keep getting Michael Rappaport on Watch What Happens Live? I absolutely cannot stand that man, and he has been on that show so many times. I cannot stand him. I almost didn't watch What Happens Live last night because he was on it. He's that annoying. Anyway, so we now see Katie go over to Tom the next day, I assume to get the dogs. We find out, other than the dogs, Tom has no access to her life. They talk about the night before, and he wants Katie to bring up to Ariana how he would like to talk to her. And Katie very rightfully is like, why don't you reach out to her? And I'm like, yeah, you're a grown-ass man. Clean up your own shit. We now see all the girls meet up. Katie brings up how she saw Schwartz and how he mentioned that he missed Ariana. And I was like, oh, Katie, why did you do that? Make Schwartz do it himself. And Ariana basically was like, who cares? Lala decides she's going to play the devil's advocate and says, I agree, he needs to get his life together, but he has also been under the mental abuse and manipulations from Tom Sandavol. And Ariana goes, yeah, I kind of understand, because I had always told Sandavol that I wanted to get closer to Katie, and he would always tell me to be careful. And this caused her to kind of have a wall up around Katie. Lala tells Ariana, I feel like you have your guard up around me. And Ariana's like, no, not really anymore. Lala's like, I sometimes feel like you don't like me. And she kind of gets emotional. Ariana's like, no, oh honey, I love you. And she hugs her. Lala then tells her, I want to be honest with you. I just want to let you know that I reached out to Rachel because I felt bad about her saying that if she were to go against Tom, she would essentially be all alone, and she knows what that's like. And the look on Katie's face was so funny. Both her and Scheana looked like oh shit, like they were waiting for something to happen. And Ariana makes a really good point in her talking head. She says, you know, when Lala and Randall broke up, she was ready to murder whoever had contact with Randall, but here she is reaching out to Rachel. They also addressed this on Watch What Happens Live last night, so let me play you that clip.
First poll on WWHL.tv is, does Ariana have a right to be annoyed that Lala reached out to Rachel, yes or no? You were furious at your friends if they were in contact with Randall. So what do you think here?
Was it about Sandavol or the mistress? I think it was about the mistress, right? Reaching out to...
Randall?
Yeah.
You were mad like when Schwartz played pickleball with Randall.
But I wasn't still living with Randall when Schwartz was playing pickleball with him, you know? I wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
Right, but Ariana's not, she's done with, Raquel is out of it.
We didn't know that
Is
yet.
Is it not analogous? I guess it's not.
You know, I've always done what I wanted to do, period.
All right.
You know, whether I can defend it or not, I did it.
Okay.
So that was kind of interesting when she made that comment, well, I still wasn't living with Randall. Was that a little bit of a dig that Ariana's still living with Tom? I'm not really sure what she meant by that. Anyways, Ariana then tells them, I really hope whatever work Rachel is doing works for her. But she is still in contact with Tom, and they're sending packages back and forth to each other, which... In the after show, Tom said that he was very good about hiding his packages and not letting her see them when he was getting ready to send them out. And then she says he left the packages on the counter all the time. I could see them, which was super weird. I don't know why he would do that. He also, in the after show, kind of blamed Rachel for sending mail and packages to the house and how she sent a postcard that had lightning bolts on it, which, again, very super weird. I don't know what she was thinking, but Rachel's not the smartest person in the world. We all know that. Why Tom didn't go get a P.O. box so they could communicate via mail that way and Ariana wouldn't have to look at it, I don't know. And if she's saying that he did leave packages on the counter addressed to Rachel, that is really messed up. Like, that is kind of sadistic, actually. He's rubbing it in her face. I don't know. So Lala tells the girls, I know how messed up Rachel is, and Katie and Scheana essentially cut her off right there, and they're like, our situation is a little different. We were there for her. And Lala goes, yeah, I know. You guys treated her like she was a little sister. Scheana tells us in her talking head that had Rachel not put a restraining order on her, that the situation might be different. Lala tells Ariana, I'm in your corner and I don't want you to be upset with me. And they hug, and then we flash to Sandavol arriving home, and the episode ends. The fact that Ariana wasn't upset over Lala reaching out to Rachel, and when she's like, Ariana, look at me, I'm your girl, I think that was kind of a message to Ariana, like, I kind of had to do this, or Ariana at least understood, okay, she's doing this for the show. At the end of the day, these guys all make a lot of money to be on the show, so if she had to reach out to Rachel and try to get her to come and have a sit down with Lala and have it recorded for the show, I totally feel like Ariana would understand that. And that is why she was so quick to be like, it's cool, don't worry about it. And they hugged it out. That is all for the first episode of this season. Again, I thought it was a really solid episode. I was actually pleasantly surprised. The rest of the season looks good. It does look like Ariana and Tom do film together. There was a quick scene where they were on the beach and James was like marking a line on the sand, and he was saying that one side was Tom's and the other side was Ariana's. I am interested to see like the dynamic of these two filming together. All right, guys, that is all I have for Vanderpump Rules. I will be back tomorrow with Sean for our recap of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye.